Hello and welcome to the Success with Savita podcast, where we share hot tips on how to do life and business without losing your mind. I'm your host, Savita Nanjappa, entrepreneur, high achieving 9 to 5er turned transformational success coach, helping you create a wildly successful business. Come hang out with me and other fabulous humans like you every week for stories and chats packed with a healthy dose of tips, resources, how to's, and real talk. Side effects may include a happier and more confident you with each passing day. Welcome back to another episode of the Success with Savita podcast. I can't believe it's already time for our final episode of the year, and I was thinking about what this should be. And I decided to do, taking inspiration from Spotify Wrapped, I decided to do a 2024 Wrapped for you. This episode is going to be a little different. It's a look back at my favorites, lessons learned, and the biggest takeaways from the year. So grab a cup of tea or coffee, settle in, and let's reflect together. But before we get started, I want to share a little bit. I am recording this a couple of days before Christmas. This is that time of the year when I'm not really working. I do have a call tomorrow morning, but that's my last call, which I consciously wanted to do for my client, of course. And then I'm going to spend some time planning my year, my coming new year. I'm going to also get ahead on my content creation. I'm going to do batching. This is something that I've really done well in the last 2-3 months when it comes to my podcast planning, when it comes to my newsletters, and now I want to extend the same to my social media and video content. I'm just coming back from having spent a few days in my hometown, which is Kurg. The weather was fantastic. I have had a quiet holiday, and now I'm in town for the next few days, and I want to spend New Year here. Usually, we try to spend the Diwali holidays and New Year in town because there are a lot of crackers around this time, and my dog is terrified of them, and so we like to be around him so he's not scared and he's not anxious. Of course, there have been years that we have traveled for the new year, but I guess this year is not it. And whenever we do travel, we leave him with he has a regular boarder that he goes to who's extremely caring. But I'm looking forward to the season and doing a few things, not packing it in socially, but doing a few things. So as I'm recording this, I'm doing it this evening from my home, and you're going to hear maybe some background noise. But I didn't feel up to going into a studio and recording it. I probably should have done it last month, but yeah, it is what it is. I still wanted to do this episode and not wait, which is generally my nature to wait for the right moment to do things, have the perfect conditions. I'm not going to be doing that. So please forgive me if there is some distractive noise in the background. I'm going to try to clean up as much as we can. With that, let's get started. In the wrapped episode, I'm going to be talking about a few of my favorites. But as I was putting together this list, that I have a laundry list, and it's a really long list. And maybe it shouldn't be a podcast, but rather should be a blog post, maybe a newsletter. It's a bit of a long read even for either of these, but I've tried to be crisp. I'm going to go fast. I'm going to see if I can share as much as possible in this wrapped episode. I have divided it into a few segments. The first one is the favorites. Here are my 2024 favorites. Let's start with books. There have been quite a few books that I've read, but I think this one by Gabrielle Zevin is a favorite, which is Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow. I think this year, 2024, has been a lot of fiction and less non-fiction and self-help category, other than the ones I probably needed to do for work, those kind of books, right? But I did read Outlive, which is by Peter Attia, a deep dive into health, longevity, and making the most of our years. I am obsessed with this genre of longevity. I won't say obsessed like Brian Johnson obsessed, but yes, I'm very interested in how I can age better, how I can maintain my health, wellness, and fitness, right? As I'm in my 40s now. and these are things that I really like to. So here are these are a couple of books that I did read, but I read a lot of fiction. Coming to podcasts, it's very interesting, but I discovered quite a few podcasts this year that I hadn't been exposed to earlier. And here are some of my favorites. Number one, Cubicle to CEO. I really like this because they do specific case studies about business topics. And for those of you who are entrepreneurs, this may be of interest because there's a lot of marketing and sales related topics that they do cover. The other podcast that I like, which is a lifestyle kind of podcast, is the Every Girl podcast. And then I found a few more um, international podcasts, literally, but it's all around wellness, mental health, beauty, self help genres. And I'm going to share that in the notes below. You can look it up. But specifically, right now, what I'm listening to a lot of is, yes, Cubicle to CEO, the Every Girl, and what has always been in my listening list, from either Huberman Lab to Chris Harder's For the Love of Money. I also like Jenna Kutcher, so I kind of really cycle between all of these different podcasts. And perennial favorite has always been The Simple Sophisticate, which is by a blogger who I've been reading since 2011, right? Which is called The Simply Luxurious Life. That's the website, and she has a podcast. And I've been following her from 2011. So these are like my perennial favorites, but then I cycle between. Depends on the topic. Sometimes, now Spotify proposes, the algo proposes. If I liked one or listen to one episode, then they'll share with me similar episodes. So then I pick up and I listen to the episodes. Yes, here and there I do listen to Joe Rogan, but I kind of lose the thread because his podcasts are really long, and sometimes I just lose the, like, I don't drive anywhere for 3 hours, and I usually listen to podcasts as I'm driving, so it's kind of hard to keep track and keep the thread going of what is going on, but I do try and get updated on my podcasts. I do like Diary of a CEO as well, so that's something. Yeah. So these are some of these podcasts that I listen to. Coming to TV shows, I think this year I did manage to get pretty caught up on Netflix. I have embraced this side of me. I am not an everyday TV show watcher, or I can't catch up on television every day, but I do catch up on episodes of my favorite shows, or something that I'm going watching, or even the new ones that pop up, whether it's shows or movies. I do spend time on Netflix on the Fridays or on Saturdays, and I've wholly embraced this. The shows that I really liked this year is Nobody Wants This. Wow, I just loved it. I liked the movie The Idea of You, Anne Hathaway. I'm now currently watching You. I'm on season 2, I think. I did finish season 1, then I forgot what happened, then I went back and kind of revisited all those episodes. Emily in Paris, of course. The Perfect Couple, of course. Selling Sunset is my guilty pleasure. I love some reality shows, and one of them is Selling Sunset and Selling OC. And of course, the Indian one, Call Me Bay, was also something that I caught up on. So yeah, those are my TV shows, but I do spend some time on the weekends, not every weekend, but when I can, to catch up. And I'm not a person who can watch one single episode and stop. That's just not me. I have learned to accept this. I know I'm a binge watcher. I won't spend 8 hours, but I can easily spend 2.5 to 3 hours. It really depends on my mood and depends on the show. I can catch up. But Nobody Wants This, I watched it over 2 days, I think, 2 or 3 days, and I finished it because I loved it. I loved it. Coming to on my other favorites, coming to favorite products, beauty products. Okay, I really like this brand called Gunam. I'm a beauty product junkie. Full disclosure, I like magnesium oil to be sprayed under my feet, or magnesium body lotion to use just before I sleep. I'm liking quite a few new Korean brands that have come, but something that I'm really using is Gunam, and I really don't know how to pronounce this. Beauty of Josian. I'm not sure, maybe I'm pronouncing it wrong. I've always I liked CeraVe for myself, and that launched in 2024 here in India. So that's something that I do use, some product lines. But I try quite a few products. Currently, I'm mostly using products by SkinQ, which is by my dermatologist, Dr. Chaitra. I use quite a few products of this, especially the sunscreen. Moving on to my facials, I like to get Glow Clinic facials or the celebrity facial at Cosmoderma. If this clinic is there in your city, you should try out these facials. Things that I'm liking in the wellness space is definitely the EMF mat, the infrared sauna, which I need to do more of in 2025, and red light therapy. I love it because it helps my vision. But I'm also conscious about getting some sunlight because my vitamin D levels are not great. So, some sunlight, and I tend to get that when I'm riding back and forth from the gym. But if there's evening sun, and I see it when I'm working on my home office, and I can remember to go out and get sunlight, I try to do 10 to 15 minutes of that. So those are things that I'm doing, I'm trying, those are things that I'm loving. Coming to other stuff that I like to do for self care, it's at home massages through Urban Company. I love it that I can just book it, they come home, fuss free. I get my massages, and now I can add it to my calendar, and I don't need to go through having to allocate like half a day for this, right? So I love at home massages. I love fresh flowers at home, cozy interiors. That's my vibe. Candles, also my vibe. Lovely fragrances, room fragrances. My terrace garden is something that I'm trying to make better and improve. These are my loves. And of course, always having fresh food at home and being able to spend time with my family. This is my favorite stuff and favorite thing to do, right? Even if I'm going out to a restaurant, I'd like to go with my family and friends. For gifting, I love Interflora for sending flowers to people in any city. I like Nicobar to buy home gifts, hostess gifts, gifts for somebody's, if I'm visiting them, just to pick up for their homes. I like to give Jo Malone perfumes as gifts for people's birthdays. And of course, I like accessories, giving ceramics, giving jewelry, costume jewelry, buying pretty earrings from either brands that I support, brands of friends, or brands that I like using. These are all my favorites in the gifting section. For business gifting, I like to do journals for clients, for business friends. I like to give journals, meditation stuff like candles, incense, organizers, planners, that kind of stuff. So stationery it is, and my love for stationery continues. Try to explore more new brands. This year I've got my planner again from the Ink Bucket. Who knows, next year I'll have my own planner. I haven't bought a journal yet because I'm making my own journal, the gratitude journal. As I'm recording this episode today, I got my fresh stationery from this new brand called Paper It .in. Paper It is, I saw it on Instagram, an ad on Instagram, and then I've ordered gift wrapping paper, office desk accessories, notepads, notebooks, stuff like that. So I also have my desk calendar from Ink Bucket. So I'm kind of set, I think, as far as stationery is concerned for the year. Coming to restaurants and cafes, I love Subco in my city or any city. I like Aroku coffee. I like Paper and Pie in Bangalore. In restaurants, those are my go-to cafes. There's also Nerlu Cafe if you want to check it out, but these three are definitely cafes that I like going to. In the restaurant section, I like Gigi's in Mumbai. That's where I went recently. I like Bar Spirit Forward in Bangalore. I like Bangalore Uta Company. I went to Srinagar in 2024 and I loved Chakosi Mankosi in Srinagar. Um, Beautiful restaurant, great decor, and the food is also not bad at all. I liked it. And in Bangalore, other restaurants are also Coco and Lupa, some of the restaurants that I like. besides my old favorite haunts of Yavacha and of course Sanchez. Fiction reads, I like Lucy Diamond and similar genres. Coming to shows and concerts that I went to the Diljit Dosanjh concert. I loved it. I didn't love the other experience of getting there and getting out and all the traffic, but I loved the show. What a show, man. I also liked watching Veer Das live, perform live. I enjoyed that show immensely. I didn't get to do Coldplay this year. I didn't get to do Taylor Swift Eras tour. My daughter wants to, and probably we'll see next time Taylor Swift does a tour. We have to take her. I'm going to see how I can get to that. For hair and beauty products, the thing that I didn't cover in hair is I'm really liking the brand Olaplex, and I like the hair gummies by Numi, which have really worked very well for me. But of course, when it comes to hair care, hair oil, and all of that, all the Indian Ayurvedic brands, whether it's Kama Ayurveda, Forest Essentials, they all do a fantastic job and it does help with hair growth. So that's my list of favorites. Now I want to move on to places that I traveled to in 2024. I went to Bhutan for the first time, of course, fell in love. I love the nature, the scenic beauty of Bhutan, the culture, the people. I loved everything about Bhutan and the clean air. Oh my God. So Bhutan was a it was on my vision board for a long time. So that's a place I went to. Phuket for the first time. I also went to Jodhpur. That's also been on my list. I went in 2023 for a friend's birthday celebration, and I had like 1.5 days, I think, over there, and I wanted to go back. I wanted to go back and see Jodhpur properly, and I managed to do that with my siblings this year in January. That was the first trip that we did. And of course, I keep going back to my hometown of Coorg all the time. And another new place in India that I got to cover this year was Kashmir. My first time. I got to do only Srinagar, of course, but there's so much more, and I'm definitely going back. So now I'd like to share my highlights for 2024. Number one, climbing up Tiger's Nest in Bhutan was on my, it was a checklist, bucket list, to-do list for me for the longest time. And even though I found it a bit challenging to do the steps, I did it. I could have trained more. I could have prepared myself a little bit more, but yeah, it is what it is. Still did it. Similarly, my next highlight is holding my journal, the gratitude journal that we've designed. I never thought to put out a product, but this was something that I thought I'd start putting out this year, and that's come to fruition. Third highlight is seeing my kids' artwork. Of course, everybody's child's artwork, crafts, sporting achievements, class achievements is something that every parent takes pride in. And similarly, I do think my daughter is a little gifted when it comes to art. So seeing her artwork, I'm going to get them framed, and I probably post them on my social media soon. My next highlight is seeing my dog walk again. My dog has been dealing with arthritis of his back leg. He's been limping. He's found it very difficult to move, and we've been doing a lot of heavy lifting of the doggy. And I thought he wouldn't really be able to walk much at all. But seeing my dog walk again with support, with supplements, with you know the care given has really brought me a lot of joy. And the other highlights are always that always make me happy, give me a lot of happiness, is eating my mom's home cooked food or watching funny videos with my husband. Yeah, that's our thing. Sometimes we'll sit in bed and we'll look at funny reels and have a good laugh about it, uncontrollable laughter, of course. Going to these shows was also nice, celebrating friends' birthdays, going on these trips. All of this has been some of the key highlights of this year. Work wise, getting back on track, getting a new certification in the journal launch, deep work. I feel like I've really enhanced my deep work abilities. I've 10xed it. I could do more, of course, there's always room for more, but I think I've gotten started. I'm off to a good start. I usually fall off the wagon every now and then, but that's not happened for a while now, and I'm very, very thrilled about it. I am working on consistency. I'm moving into my consistency era in 2025. That's the thing. It's my comeback era. It's my consistency era. So a lot more of that. That's definitely going to be my word of the year. But other highlights have been going to the NAS summit, watching NAS live, putting myself out there, going to events even when I didn't feel like, and catching up and socializing. I think I did a lot more this year than the previous year. Other things that I love doing was my long overdue sisters trip. This is something that we keep talking about. We kind of just never happens because suddenly, it's difficult to coordinate or something happens or time just flies by, the year is over, right? So that was something that we managed to do this year, and we plan to do one every year. Things that I couldn't do was the founder breakfast. I wanted to have one in December, but somehow, if you miss that first week window, you kind of miss everything. But the first week was really packed, and that's something that I couldn't do in 2024, even though I announced it. So we will be doing it in January 2025. Live workshops. The whole of last year, I didn't do any live private workshops, not the ones that I do for my corporate clients, but ones that I roll out myself that I haven't done. I haven't launched any group programs. I haven't done enough or barely any live interviews for my podcasts. I've not been very present on my social media or consistent on my social media. So those are all my, obviously you'll know what's my area of improvement for 2025, are all these things that I didn't get done. I don't need new goals. I need to just finish the ones that I put down or get to the ones that I put down. My favorite tools, this is something I do want to cover in my favorites as well, or highlights. My favorite business tools for work are Notion, Canva, ChatGPT. I use all three of these extensively, besides the specific ones that I may do for my newsletter platform or my podcasting platform. These three are really the backbone for me when I'm working in my business. With that, I would like to move to the next segment, which is self care habits and tools that I really leaned into. Like I shared, was of course all the red light and all of that, but journaling, I designing my own journal also happened to push me deeper into the journaling practice. So, some tools that I've used this year that have helped me are manifestation tools and visualization and writing in my gratitude journal. It really brings me perspective. It really reminds me every day of what I need to be grateful for. And I think it's a great leveler, right? So I like doing that. So some practices that I've really deepened are definitely journaling and meditation. A lot of the guided meditation that I do, I use some of the apps. My favorite one currently is Superhuman. So I also do, it doesn't have to be sitting in a place closed eyes, but I've also, when I'm walking, I do listen to guided meditation or visualization on Superhuman app. And I've done better this year at nutrition. I've done better this year in terms of supplementation. So I think wellness habits that is going to continue. I've done better this year even with my strength training. I've started to like going to the gym, but those are things that are going to get deeper and deeper. It's a lifetime thing, of course, but I've just got to now level up my game when it comes to my workout, and that's something that I'm looking to elevate in 2025. Now moving to segment 3, which is lessons learned. There were so many. This year taught me so much, but here are some key lessons that have stood out for me that I'd like to share. Number 1, reciprocity. This is really important. It's a value for me. I'm not saying that everything that I do needs to be returned, but I really like reciprocal relationships, reciprocal friendships, because that's the way, right? You can't go and try to make something work, a friendship or a relationship or a collaboration or a business partnership even work, if the other person is not interested in doing so. And reciprocity is therefore becomes really important for me, whether business or relationships. It's being just open to exchanges that are genuine and authentic and leads to creating beautiful experiences, beautiful memories, beautiful opportunities. So for me, reciprocity is a very big value. And I found that in a lot of friendships, sometimes if it's not coming back, if it's not returned back, then as sad as it can be to let it go, I have to, because We are all busy, man. We don't have time to chase after people who don't want to give us the time of day, right? And who have made it very clear through their actions, through their sometimes not saying anything. It's not like somebody has to tell you that they're not interested in spending time with you, but it's just not saying anything or not taking action who let friendships fail or let friendships wither away. There's no point. For me, at least, I have many priorities, and I would really like to make the time and effort with people who matter to me and who are responsive to me. Okay, so that's a big one. For me, reciprocity, it's a huge lesson, which I feel like I was kind of aware, but it was not so conscious as much as it was in 2024. The second one is, of course, authenticity. I know it, I've practiced it, but every day and every year, I'm so much more convinced that in the world that we are in today, such a highly hyper visual world, authenticity is key, and authenticity is what will attract people to you and build those strong social capital for you if you're authentic. So showing up as my true self even when it's uncomfortable has been liberating for me. It's a reminder that people connect with the real you, not the curated version. My next lesson is on showing up even when you don't want to. There have been many times in this past year when I didn't want to go to that networking event, when I didn't want to have that conversation with somebody who reached out. I didn't want to attend that conference. Just felt like, what will I do? How can I go alone? But no, just showing up even when you don't want to, and just putting in the work really pays off. I've had clients from some absolutely disastrous trips that I may have taken, but I met someone who then turned out to be a long term client of mine. So it was really, I mean, monetary also, it's a return on investment that I have received back. So showing up even when you don't want to, especially on the workspace, is important. And also when you show up for people, even when you are stretched for time, because it matters, that is also received and reciprocated. So that's a big lesson for me. My next lesson is to stay in my lane. This is something that my coach told me in 2018. Said there are three kinds of businesses: your business, others' business, and God's business. And you have to recognize what is what. Like, you have to know when it's your business, you have to know when it's somebody else's business, and you can't go in there. And you have to know that certain things are God's business, and you have to not, you can think about it, but you've not got to dwell on it. So I think I take that very seriously. I try to stay in my lane as much as possible, and that has really worked for me, especially in my business. My next lesson is experiences over Instagrammable moments, whether I'm traveling. The stuff that I put out online is like 10, 15, 20% of what happens every day in my life or on my trips or all of that. I could put out a lot more, but I don't. And I also, my husband and child are not keen to be on social, so I need to respect their privacy as well. I feel sometimes there have been times when I didn't take the picture of that meal or didn't take a picture of, what I was watching or something that I saw, and that's okay. Everything does not need to have its own Instagrammable moment, and that's a huge lesson. And similar to that is also letting go of FOMO or letting go of doing all these. Sometimes I've been tired when we are traveling to hit every spot that's been listed out, and now I'm like, I'm going to do these three things. I'm going to go see these three things or experience these three things, and the rest, if I can, I'm going to do it. But I'm not going to go on the strip and not have it be a slow travel, but be this fast pace going from one place to the other, checking off things from my list. No, I don't want to do that anymore. It's okay if I miss out. So yeah, that's something that is along the same lines of experiences over Instagrammable moments. I'm okay to now be experiencing the joy of missing out. My next lesson is this mantra that I heard, I think, from a podcast episode. I can't remember if it was an episode or an Instagram reel, but to look at when you're planning for the year to look at remove, refresh, or reset. I know that earlier, I talk about do, delegate, or delete. So it's similar. Either you remove it or you take a reset, and reset and start over, or you refresh. Some things you may have to refresh stuff, revise stuff. Okay, so that's a new mantra. It's not new, but it's a revisiting this do, delete, delegate in a different way, right? It's a different lens. Approach everything. My next lesson is approach everything. Goals, must do's, to do's, with intention and a plan. And I'm saying this because there have been some goals that I've carried on every year, and there have been some goals that this year I said, okay, I've got to do this, broken it down to its smallest bite size, and then I've approached it step by step and with intention, with a plan, and with a thought that I'm doing it on this day at this time, and it's happened. So I'm going to approach all my goals with that. That's a huge takeaway for me. That even if it's small, minor, like just making cookies, chocolate chip cookies for your child, with your child, just go and do that one thing by putting it down, time, place, ingredients, how you're going to do it, what's the plan, and just go do it, and it's going to happen. So being really intentional, whether it's a small goal, we do this a lot with the big ones, but we kind of let go of the smaller ones. So doing that. Finally, a couple of other lessons are to declutter. Often clutter builds up in my home because we have a small child. I mean, a preteen who's collecting a lot of stuff, toys, books, and all of that. I have a husband who has a hoarder mentality. So we've really got to make sure that we don't, just build up stuff. So my lesson is to declutter a lot and declutter often. That's really going to be a mental health to do for me. Um, so that's a lesson. The other one is not everything, like I said, needs to be shared online. And also to take the time, my final lesson is to think a lot about how you live, and really take the time to think about this a lot. How do you live your life? What kind of lifestyle are you having? What are things that are not, working for you, are not doing you any favors? What are things that are going really well in your life? To spend some time thinking about how you live your life is really important to elevate the quality of your life. Especially in the last few months, I believe, and I've seen and I've experienced that life is really short. Things can change overnight. Something happens, someone has an accident, someone loses a life, somewhere something else happens. Things can just shift overnight, and life is too short. So it's really important to spend enough time to think about how you live. What are your values? Are you living the way you imagined yourself living? What are some things that you can change? What are some things that are in your control? And what are some things that are not in your control and you can't change? So spend some time thinking about it. That's one of my lessons. As we come to the end of this episode, I do want to say that 2024 has been an incredible year for me in terms of my own personal growth. And moving into 2025, I want to continue to build on that personal growth. It's work in progress. You constantly have to put in the work if you want to live your life the way you've designed it, the way you've envisioned it. So I want to carry that in. I want to continue to work on my business goals, grow my business even more, grow my income, hit some of my financial goals, and really to put myself outside my comfort zone. There have been years, especially the COVID years, have been a little bit, a lot of it spent in my comfort zone, and I want to put myself outside of my comfort zone because magic really happens there. There have been some brilliant moments in 2024. There have been highs, as there have been some lows, and the reflection for the future is to carry forward the mantra of progress, not perfection, and to maintain that. For me, what I've understood is really key to my success is going to have to be consistency and planning and organization. These are three keys that will help me be successful, whether in business or in life, but a lot, of course, in business. That's a wrap on 2024. Thank you for being a part of this journey with me. Your support, feedback, and connection mean the world to me. The podcast has come to mean so much more to me than how I started. It's my safe space. I like coming here and sharing my thoughts with you. The solo episodes have really helped ground me and anchor me as much. I hope you've liked what I've put together. And as we head into 2025, I'd love to hear your biggest lessons and favorite moments from the year. Tag me, share this on social media and tag me. I'd love to read that. But as we end this year, I wish you a great end of the year season. A Merry Christmas to you and a very, very happy New Year. And I'm just wishing you hope, abundance, good health, joy, success, and the making of many more beautiful memories for 2025. So here's to 2025, and once again, thank you. Have a brilliant start to the year and a great holiday season.